Number 10. Alien hangar in the mountains. A mysterious trio of tunnels have been discovered hidden on the side of a mountain in the last place you'd expect, near Area 51 in the Nevada desert. The tunnels aren't even that well hidden, since they can be seen by anyone who opens up Google Earth and zooms in on the general region of the Nevada desert. There seems to be a road winding up the mountain to the entrance of the tunnels, and then a kind of plateau directly in front of the three rectangles of darkness. To the untrained eye, this might look like a mine or three mineshaft openings going deep into the earth. But according to some, this is actually an alien hangar. The tunnel entrances are supposedly hangar entrances designed for huge alien spaceships to fly in and out of. No one can verify having actually witnessed an alien ship coming in or out of one of these hangars, but there's no denying what they look like. This could be very real evidence of an underground alien base that the US government is keeping secret. For all we know, these hangar entrances go miles below the Earth to a subterranean alien lair. Number 9. Mountain skeleton. Jawahir Hedgie was last seen on December 23rd, walking along the Amargosa Trail in Nevada. 3 days later, on December 26th, her family reported her missing. They hadn't heard from her ever since she went on that hike. The police discovered her car near a building site, her keys were on the hood, and her wallet and cell phone were inside the vehicle. And yet Jawahir was nowhere to be found. No trace of her was found until September 6, 2021, when a hiker happened upon a human skull up in the mountains. This was extra shocking because the Las Vegas police had been searching the same area where her skull was found, and yet they'd uncovered nothing. Jawahir's mom has since accused the Vegas police of not doing their job. The skull was quickly identified as that of the missing hiker, but what happened to her is still a total mystery. The police have not yet released a cause of death, so we can't say how she died. But it's pretty obvious that there was foul play involved. For whatever reason, Jawahir left her keys, phone, and wallet in her car, then hiked into the mountains and never returned. Number 8. Ancient village. There's an ancient and mysterious village in the mountains of Dagestan, Russia. It's one of the oldest settlements in the territory, likely built by a Khan hundreds of years ago. But because there are no actual historic records of the village, no one knows which Khan built it or when. What we do know is that this location was no accident. The village was built on the literal peak of a mountain over 4,500 feet above sea level. Plus, the city is completely surrounded by steep slopes and sheer cliffs, which would have made an invasion nearly impossible. Amazingly, the small village was occupied all the way until the 20th century, even having its own post office and hospital. But over time, as more and more people left the village, the place emptied out. It was completely abandoned about 40 years ago, and now it's nothing but a ruin. It looks as if it's thousands of years old, even though it was inhabited less than half a century ago. Number 7. Dyatlov Pass 2.0. In the Ural Mountains back in January of 1959, 10 members of the Ural Polytechnic Institute, who also happened to be experienced mountain climbers, went on a hiking trip and died. When they never came back out of the mountains, the authorities went looking for them. They discovered that the group had set up camp on the mountain of Kholat Saikil. Then they all met horrifying and brutal deaths. The bodies of the hikers were found strewn across the mountain. One guy was found next to a cedar tree, partially undressed and covered in blood. Some people had their skull crushed or their chests smashed in, while 2 of them even had missing eyes and 1 person had a missing tongue. At the time, authorities ruled that they died of hypothermia, though of course hypothermia doesn't rip out your eyeballs. This has been a strange, unsolved mystery for over 60 years. Nobody knows what happened that night up in the mountains, if the mountaineers were hit by an avalanche or mauled by a monster. In 2021, it may have just happened again. Halfway through October, 8 tourists from Moscow ventured into the deadly Dyatlov Pass, the same place where the hikers from 1959 were killed, and they have not yet come back. They had apparently been paying tribute to the people who died there previously, and yet now they too are missing and presumed dead. Do you think these hikers were attacked by the same thing that murdered the other mountaineers 60 years ago? Or do you think it's just one great big coincidence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Number 6. Ancient cliff tombs. A mysterious collection of over 250 ancient tombs was just discovered in Egypt, with some of them dating back at least 4,200 years. The amazing discovery was made by accident, with the archaeological survey crew stumbling upon the Al-Hamidiyya necropolis near Sohag. The necropolis consists of hundreds of rectangular holes cut into the side of a mountain cliff. How nobody found them until now is even more of a mystery than the identity of those people who were entombed here. Naturally, all the bodies had already been pillaged for grave goods and were missing when archaeologists showed up. However, they figured out that the burial site here was used for over 2,000 years, starting in the Old Kingdom and ending around the time of Cleopatra's death in 30 BC. The big mystery with these mountain tombs is that historians aren't sure why the Egyptians chose such a random site in the middle of the desert to bury hundreds of seemingly unimportant people. According to historian Bassam el-Shamma, the tombs were not big enough for royalty and must have been for common people. It was a graveyard for normal citizens, far removed from the more impressive burial grounds of the ultra-wealthy. Number 5. Monster in the mountains. People living near Riverside County, California were rattled after a horrifying monster was sighted in the nearby mountains. It happened on a foggy morning when resident Kerry Shooker's cat ran inside his home, apparently terrified of something outside. When Kerry went to the door and looked out, he saw something just standing there and staring at him. From the way Kerry described it, the creature was the ugliest thing he'd ever seen. Now, Kerry lives on Box Springs Mountain, so he's no stranger to bizarre animals. There's plenty of wildlife around his home. But this thing was unlike anything he'd ever encountered. It kind of looked like a possum, except that it was even bigger than a coyote. It had huge teeth and wanted to eat his cat, and may have gotten it too if Kerry hadn't scared it off. According to Kerry and other fellow residents, the creature was a chupacabra. It was spotted by other people on the mountain as well. Some thought they simply encountered a sick coyote or wolf, but couldn't understand why the thing they were looking at had a long tail like a rat, the ears of a deer, no hair, and was horribly ugly. And since no one managed to catch the creature yet, it remains at large and on the loose, terrorizing the locals. Number 4. The Harry Potter spider. The creepiest and most horrifying spider that you've ever seen in your life was recently discovered hiding in the mountains. The internet is losing its collective mind because the spider, identified as a type of wolf spider, looks identical to the huge spider called Aragog in the Harry Potter movies. In fact, the scientists who found it even named the new spider after the monster from Harry Potter. The creature was first spotted inside of its burrow in the mountainous region of Iran's Kerman province by the Iranian entomologist Alireza Nadiri. But mysteriously, researchers have only found the female spider. To this day, they've not managed to find a male spider as he simply proved too elusive to catch. The spider itself isn't that unique from other wolf spiders, other than the fact that it looks just like the huge one from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Number 3. Missing in the mountains. Maura Murray vanished in New Hampshire over 17 years ago. She was only 21 years old at the time, studying to become a nurse at UMass Amherst. Even after almost 2 decades, her family is still hoping to find closure and to uncover the mystery once and for all of what happened to Maura. A recent break in the case may have come in the form of human bone fragments. These fragments were discovered on Loon Mountain by a construction crew. Not every last piece of the skeleton was found, but enough fragments were uncovered that New Hampshire State Police are now analyzing them. Hopefully they'll be able to see if the bones belong to Maura Murray. But even if they are her bones, it still doesn't explain what happened to her. On February 9, 2004, Maura got into a car accident. She'd been driving north on Route 112 when it happened. Someone did stop and asked her if she needed help, but Maura refused. She then began walking, and no one yet knows what happened to her next. If these bones proved to be hers, she may have gone into the mountains for unknown reasons and then perished all those years ago. Then again, she may have been abducted and murdered. Number 2. Hyena hoard. A mysterious pile of animal bones was found by archaeologists working in Saudi Arabia. They uncovered a hyena den deep within a mountain cave with a collection of bones going back 7,000 years. According to the archaeologist working on the project, they had officially found the site back in 2007, but were too scared to enter because they could hear the growling of dozens of animals inside. Only now did they brave the cave entrance again, finding it empty except for thousands of animal bones. Archaeologists found the bones of horses, goats, camels, cows, and even humans. It seems the hyenas had been using the cave for nearly 10,000 years, bringing back their victims and then leaving their bones behind. It was the closest thing anyone has ever found to the real-life hyena den from the Lion King movie. But you're probably wondering about those human bones. The truth is, we don't know if the hyenas were actually hunting people. They could have been digging up graves and dragging corpses back to their lair, since hyenas are known for being grave-digging scavengers. Number 1. Viking treasure box. In the icy mountains of Norway, melting glaciers have been revealing all kinds of amazing and mysterious artifacts left behind by their ancient relatives. In one of the most recent discoveries, archaeologists uncovered a mysterious wooden box with its lid still closed, even after 1,200 years. It's thanks to the ice that the wood was kept in such great condition, since most organic objects would have decayed after that amount of time. As you can imagine, the archaeologists were excited to take the box back to their lab and open it. They were hoping to find some Viking treasure, but what they found instead was equally as shocking. Instead of old Viking relics, the wooden box held nothing except scraps of beeswax. It had been used to hold nothing except an old candle. No gold, no jewels, just beeswax. What's your favorite mountain mystery from today's video? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks a lot for watching. Remember to subscribe and come back soon for another awesome video right here on American Eye.